wirst es ändern wollen. Du wirst es ändern wollen. Doch das wird nicht sein.
My name is Kenny Johnson, and I am hanging with Chris Gordon on the Hellblazer Biz.
Everyone, I have the honour, privilege, the delight of the company of Kenny Johnson again. I think he came on about 3 years ago, maybe a little bit longer, because I think SWAT had only just started at the time. So yeah, welcome, Kenny. Thank you for joining me again.
Good to be here, man.
Yeah,
How's Wales?
Wales is all right. It was really hot until yesterday. Now it's cold.
Same here. I mean, yeah, it's been like burning hot, and then today is actually cloudy, and we always like pray for rain in California because we never get it. So
yeah, you can have some of ours. Well, we keep joking. It's since lockdown. We normally, obviously, British weather. It's appalling. So
yeah.
Every the day after we went into lockdown 3 months ago, it went to 25 degrees. Centigrade, which is what it's probably high 70s, low 80s. So really, really good weather. I mean, it's not stopped. The sun has shone every single day. We've been in lockdown, and now they've started to loosen it a little bit. You look out the window, and it's been raining. It's cold, and
that's funny.
It's like the weather's turning around and saying, screw you, people."
Yeah. I remember being in London, and when it would rain, man. We'd have downpours. Rained shopping. I remember downtown. I remember when we went to the Buckingham Palace. It was just, but we were going to go do it, and just, and it would shower heavy, man. I'm like, this is awesome. But we'd be soaked, and then it'd be like some days were just like pure gold, So you guys have it goes up and down all the time.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
pretty much.
You can have pretty much 5 different weathers in the same day. You can go from sunny to raining to hail and snow. Excellent. So, when we last spoke, I actually finally got to meet you in Birmingham as well a couple of years ago, which is fantastic. Obviously, I don't expect you to remember that, because I think even just on that day there was thousands of people. But yeah, it was great. And it was, I think SWAT had only just started, if I remember rightly, or it was about to start, because I think there's the first few episodes in, because I think we briefly spoke about it. If I remember.
I don't know if it aired up there yet. Did it air there yet? Because I know
No, I don't think it. I think it had aired in the States, but it was still waiting to come over here, which is why, I didn't have much to talk about with SWAT, because it was like,
yeah.
I didn't know anything about it. But yeah, now we've just completed third season's just finished airing in the States. We're still waiting for that here. And fourth, you've just been announced for a 4th season as well. So congrats on that to you and all everyone involved. That's brilliant news. Okay, so I'm going to talk about SWAT since that's the main thing. It's taken off worldwide. It really has, hasn't it? The show, did you expect it to actually be such a huge hit when you all got involved?
You always hope that it does well. And we got Sean Ryan, who created it, and he also created The Shield back in the day. That was humongous hit for FX, and became
awesome show.
Just great award-winning show. So Sean's like a great creator and writer, and he usually gets a team of people together that are really kind of high in the bar that he tries to set. And then we had Justin Lin, who directed the Fast and the Furious, coming on to executive produce and also direct the pilot. And he was just awesome. So, when we saw the pilot, we're like, it looked like a film. They spent like 13 or 14 million on it. So, they could have released it as a film, but that was our pilot. And then the budget went from that to, to like, I think about 5 million or 5.2 million. So then, so it was about, a little less than a third of the budget. So then they had to figure out, how do we maintain the same standards and give it the same look and feel that Justin did. And that's been the challenge. And so did we know it was going to be a huge or take off? You never know. You just go and you do your work. And on every series I've ever done, I never really think about that. I think everyone just shows up and kind of, dives into their character, and we all play off each other. And you know, if it's casted properly, the chemistry will be there. And if the writing's good, then it's going to come off. If the camera works good, it's going to come off. And then how people receive it, you never know. You just never know. So the fact that people like it is, you know, excuse me, it's a good thing.
It's fantastic, and obviously, you know, from a job side of things, keeps you all in a job. But from a perspective of a viewer and a watcher, there's certain shows which just draw you right in. Now, I've watched it across, and I've got my son. He's now watching it, and so we've finished season 2. He's sitting there asking, "Dad, when's season 3? When's season 3? When's season?" Because obviously we're in the UK, we don't have that. And I'm like, I'm trying to find out when it's coming. Don't worry, because he's really, really addicted to it. In fact, because I was really angry with him because I would be working during the day, and I'd come round and I'd find he's been sat and he's binge watched like half the season. I was like, no.
So he's really in. That's good, man.
Oh yeah, he binge watched it pretty much because it was, but you know, and it was great. So he adores the show, and I mean, it's such a. I mean, you've got the premise of the show is obviously, you know, Hondo with it's with him, and he's got the feet on both sides. You know, obviously the police, and he's got to think of his community as well. It's not just Hondo; it's all of you guys have got. You're thinking more about your communities as well, and I think that's one of the things that really drives the show is that it connects with different communities. You know, obviously with Hondo, and obviously this is particularly with the black community out there, and I think obviously it's trying to promote that a lot more, and I think that might be one of the big successes of it too, is how it connects with people.
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely you know, part of the thing is to just mirror the real things going on in life right now, and then mirror how we can reach out to connect with the community to know that we're all together and we're all trying to get the same results, which is to make it safe for people and to us selflessly just do our jobs and do the right thing and help take out the bad people, but then keep, you know, the rest of the community safe and free and feeling good. You know, which I think it does really well, and Hondo does, and, you know, Shamar does an amazing job at that, and they write really well, you know, for him coming from, you know, that particular neighborhood, and then, you know, he gets challenged a lot by the, you know, guys on the show, you know, yet he walks that line because he goes, I am from there, but I made a choice to try to have a positive result in the world and try to show you that, you know, it's all about choices. You know, it's not about anything but choices to do the right thing. You know, it doesn't matter what race or color you are. It's just, you know, we don't want to see each other as color or you know, an economic thing. You just want to, you know, just across the board, just, you know, bring people together. And I think it does that pretty well. I think.
Oh, it does. I mean, I'm like very important to the moment, but I you know, we are one human race, and that's all it should ever be. There shouldn't be anything else and discriminatory about that. And again, like SWAT, SWAT does that really well. Exactly like you just explained, what you want to try and do is, you know, is just go out there and break down any barrier of social backgrounds or racial backgrounds, and you're just one unit, and that's what portrays really well, because you are SWAT. That SWAT unit is a really, really tight unit. You're all the best of friends on screen, probably off screen as well. But you're all best of mates, and it just shows. And obviously, I mean, you know, as I say, it does go through a lot with society and things that I've gone through in the past years, and it addresses lots of issues which are there, which have seen. And I'm going to go on to a few questions as well, because character of Luca obviously has had some good storylines. Again, I'm quite far behind with season 2. But well, in season 2, should I say? So obviously, throughout the 3 series, I'm going to say 3 series because you've done 3, even though UK, come on UK, get your act together. We speed it up. You've obviously, each character has developed so much, but Luca, the character, has had a lot of personal battles, and this is where your skills as an actor come in as well. And obviously, you know, each individual like Jay and Shamar and everyone come in, but yours, you've the first one we saw was obviously you are accepting your grandfather, obviously that storyline, never wanting to be a cop, and the battle and the emotional battle that we saw you go through, or Luca go through on screen, having to deal with the daily work and stuff. How do you find getting into that sort of that sort of emotion?
Well, I mean, I personally have such an issue with, racism. I've never seen color in people. I just see people as people.
Yep.
So when I wrote that, it hit me hard because, like, let's say my grandfather was that, and I didn't know, and he came out with these, things about, what it addressed. It just kind of kills me because I think, Luca having that in his bloodline, I think bothered him so much.
Yeah.
And, and with Hondo being our leader and Luca being like, we're brothers, there is no division between us. It was a hard thing for him. And then not knowing whether his dad felt the same way about it is such a hard thing. And never being able to ask his dad, but not wanting to speak at the funeral about it, because how am I going to honor a guy that, that I haven't talked with because of this fight? I mean, it makes me want to cry right now, but it just, it was not hard for me to tap into emotionally because it's an embarrassing thing, and it just is, it resonates in me like crazy, especially, when you're just brought up, not seeing the difference between people and treating people as people, and which we all should. And that's how I am as a person. That's how Luca is as a person. So, tough thing. And then to talk to, like Shamar's character about it, is just like, that was a tough one too, and then saying something at the end, but not really talking about it, but at least giving enough that, he was a cop. He did the right thing in the right situation, but it does not have to mean that I have to accept who he was in that, that other way, and it never has gone away. And it's always been still an open question with, the dad that never got addressed, and, so, I mean, that just like got me like, it gets me because that stuff bothers me so much, and there's too much of it. So, cool. Yeah.
No, you feel. I mean, my granddad, bless his soul, he was obviously the World War II era and stuff like that, and things he'd come out with wouldn't have thought were that way, but they were to everybody else, and it is an embarrassment. You're just like sitting there going, I have to several times just talk and say, that's not the kind of thing you say. This, don't. It's it's just not good. So feeling that kind of storyline and understanding, I didn't know until I was older that's making little comments. But my sister said he'd sit on the bus with her, and I'm not going to say what the comments were because I don't even want to repeat that kind of thing. And it was just wrong, and it was like that kind of seeing the storyline and Luca's battle with that was very good, because there is an older generation who I think, especially in the States, I think I'll say it's the UK and the States have got that history. It's up to people like you, it's up to people like me, it's up to our kids, it's up to all of us to just rise up and stop. Without obviously going into a full-on rant, but it's up to us to carry that on and make sure that we are, that one. It doesn't, who gives a damn where you,
no, I mean, my dad.
That's it.
My dad was born in Sweden, came over when he was like a little baby. My mom was born in Latvia, and she came over as a child.
Okay.
And so they grew up here and, met each other at Quinnipiac College in Connecticut, and then raised up in Vermont. There was never any such thing that was around us or ever came from them. So I never knew about it really, probably until I went to college in Connecticut. Is the first time I saw it firsthand, and it was the only time like our football captain and one of them was African American, one of them was white, and they were best of friends. And they went out, and this guy Mike Liverpool was from New Jersey, and this other guy's from Connecticut, and they were so tight. And they went out on the town, and they just went somewhere to like a fast foods place to get a burger or whatever, and they got attacked by a gang and got beaten to a pulp. I mean, they showed up the next day for football practice, and their faces were just swollen and purple and just cut like so bad. And these are two like all-American football players, and I was like going like, what was that about? And then when they said, it was the first time me personally, like I just hadn't been exposed to like racism, so it was a kind of a weird thing. And then when I came to California, I started seeing more, or it started coming around me when I go and play basketball, and I just really threw me off, and it's just a despicable thing and really bummed me out, because I just didn't know. Maybe I'm whatever naive, but I didn't know that really existed in life, because maybe I lived a sheltered world on a farm in Vermont, but I remember it bothered me. It bothers me to this day. If anyone is, racist in any way, it just really triggers something off in me that just is like, I just don't understand. I had the question why, we're all human beings. So why, Yeah.
No, totally get that, and I'm totally with you on every point you made. It's I'm not going to labour on it, but I fully agree. You're right. And to hear that story is quite hard going as well. And people, that's what people have to put up with every day. So that's what we want to try and eradicate. And I'm saying, I'm taking it back to the SWAT type thing. Hopefully, shows like that, bringing it all in. And bringing in showing the characters together and showing that community and mixing it in there can address that and help address it for future, for people to actually realise, and people maybe who haven't seen it or don't believe it can actually look at it and start to understand actually and say, this is actually happening. I can see this now. I can see where it's, and see what we can change.
Right.
That's what we hope for.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, they did obviously where Luca moves into this neighborhood in like East LA that is a predominantly, Spanish neighborhood and kind of, gang infested. And so they decided to address that, like let a regular guy, and I was all over that. I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. So my character goes there, instead of like living on couches or whatever, he's like, now he's got this place and he's in the middle of just a neighborhood, and he's a simple guy in life. He loves to surf, loves to skateboard, he loves to just help people out and be a good guy and go, selflessly serve in SWAT. So that to address a lot of the local, gang guys not wanting him there, and then kind of fronting these things, which he's like, no, I'm not going to be a cop. I'm just going to be a guy. I'm just here. We're all here living here, and so it addresses all sides, which is interesting in the writers' room. Is they don't just address SWAT's point of view; they will address the community's point of view, and then they will address conflict, and then how do we get to a resolution or a positive result from all of it? So
definitely,
I like that.
Yeah, it is. It's great, and I think that is one of the, as like I said, I keep saying, I think that's one of the key things why it works, is because that writing is so well balanced and showing it from both angles, and sometimes it'll sway more to support one, sometimes it'll sway more to support the other, and a lot of the time you're sitting there and you're thinking, well, actually, no, you can, you totally understand where it's coming from, on both. And it's so that's what it makes you think. And that's what's good, because you're sitting thinking about that kind of that community, and you're thinking, right, okay, if I was living there, what would it be? Yeah, you know what I mean. It's good. Another thing Luca did as well was I think was really important, and this is way back in season 1, if you can remember it as well. I thought I'd bring it up because I loved the episode and I thought it was brilliant. Was the fact that we had that young girl and in there with the dyslexia, and that's when Luca came. It was Luca came out, and obviously he came out and said that he was dyslexic in the SWAT.
Right.
We had that storyline going, and you were and he was championing the young girl, and that he'd seen what he could see that the frustrations in her because she was getting told off in school, this, that, and the other, and it was and you drew that back from Luca as well from when he was younger and picked it up, and again that's how did you manage to do that one as well? Is there with the dyslexia? Because I mean, that's a very, very important thing that a lot of people are suffering from. So again, that was another storyline that we just talked about, which is going to reach so many people.
Well, I appreciate you bringing that up. That was actually, came from, when we talk about ourselves to the writers, one of the things that, I had growing up was severe dyslexia. I had severe OCD and dyslexia, and I was not able to read all the way through school. And I even figured out a way to get into college, to play sports, but figured out a way to, and I don't ever say this is the right thing to do because it's not, but I had no other way, but I would have to, charm or cheat or do whatever I could in order to pass the test just enough to get by because I couldn't read it and I didn't know why. And I grew up thinking that I was stupid and something was wrong with me. So when I came to California, I remember, I didn't come to become an actor, but, got away from the East Coast and came here, and I'm like, this is a place where dreams come true. And so I remember someone trying to get me to act, in a movie, and I didn't want to do it because I knew I couldn't read what was there, and I didn't understand why. I had been asked like in senior year to try to read something, and I remember looking at a couple of words, but my eyes would dart around it, and it would muddle everything, and I didn't know the word there from the to these, and then if you got a bigger word like marvelous, I would never know what that word was. I just couldn't read, and it was because I had severe dyslexia and I didn't know it. So anyways, I got tested by a guy who was an acting coach, and I couldn't read the stuff that he gave me, and I couldn't understand what it said. So he asked me if I'd ever heard of dyslexia, and I could go, no. So he explained, and he said, would you go to this institute to get tested? So I did, and I spent 6 months at this place, and then another 3 years with a private doctor who specialized in it. But I had like a little low. It's embarrassing again, but I had like lower than a second grade reading level at the time. So
it's not embarrassing.
It's really bad, and it was like a bad second grade reading level. So it was like it was what it was, and I also had a thing where not to get into it, but I was not getting 34% of what was being said to me. So I would fill in the gaps, and there were just all these things. And so it made me have to address a lot of stuff about myself, personal stuff to do with me personally, through therapy, through stuff that, went on in the family that was not, great. And then through these, things that I had problems with. So anyways, cut to a few years later, of course, I feel like my calling's acting, so I have to follow that, although I was resistant, like why God, why is this the thing? I didn't understand why. And I was resistant for a long time until I addressed these issues with myself and became a better person and human being. And then I'm like, okay, what purpose and what do I have to say to the world now neutrally, instead of being angry or being frustrated with all these, things filled inside that had been going on since I was a little kid. I'm like, what positive thing could I put out there? So, through acting, I think once I finally was able to filter everything neutrally and then dive into characters, and then I still do have dyslexia to a degree. So that's where the dyslexia storyline came from. And then they casted my daughter in that role. Like, she auditioned with everyone else, and then Sony had to okay it in CBS. And she got the role of Kelly, which then she comes in also season 2. And she came in this really important big arc in season 3 that you'll see eventually. But it's interesting because she's got a slight version of it too. And I've been keeping an eye in it for, since she was young, started out with speech and not being able to pronounce things. And the doctor said she's above that. So she had to work with speech therapists. And then when I started seeing it in the reading, it really affected me. So I tried to help her out as much as I could to slow down things and to find ways to, track. And because I could see where her eyes dart, like you get tested and your eyes not stay in a single, plane, and they will move and you will mix and jumble words and letters together. And so we worked on that early on to get her to slow down and read a little better. So anyway, she's doing well, and that's how that came about.
Excellent. And I mean, I did see your tweet as well. So she graduated yesterday as well, didn't she? Third grade,
yeah.
Awesome.
She did great here. I mean, she homeschools. This year she wanted to homeschool, so she, had a one-on-one teacher, and she ended up getting practically all A's and everything. I think,
Wow. Awesome.
So I think she did, all A's and maybe B plus, and which the year before she was at like a C or even a little below that, but that was at a regular public school that it wasn't taking it as,
Yeah, I mean, listen to your story as well, Kenny. It's really inspirational, and I'll say that you're going to be an inspiration to a lot of people in showing where that people who might be battling with dyslexia as well can come. I mean, because you said you started out like that, you realised that. I think there's a lot more help now than there was when you and I were children as well, because I don't even think it was recognised, was it, when we were kids? It was just like they didn't even know. They just think they'd sit people in the back of the class and just say, right, okay, just leave you, and they wouldn't do anything to you, And so, and then like yourself, you battled because you didn't understand why, because it wasn't there and people didn't realise. But listening to your story, I've just been sitting here thinking it's really tingling my arms and stuff, because it's such an inspirational story to hear that you've come through that. And I mean, you're a global star actor now, so if shows what you can do.
Same issues though. I mean, I have a hard time reading. I have to read over and over and over. Then I have to notes, and then I have to draw pictures of what I think it means so I can remember, and I have to read through a script a few times before I get the gist of it all, and then start breaking it down. So what a normal person would do, they could learn in 3 hours. It might take me 30 to 40 hours, and I'm thinking like, that's just what it is for me, and I won't complain about it at all, because I think it's a process that in order to do what I do, has to be my process. And it does allow me to probably see it differently than the normal brain, and then to process it. And because I have to probably put so much work into it, I get to fill in a lot of gaps and nuances that I might have missed if I didn't have to be forced to look at it the way I do. And I don't mind. I walk the street for miles every night, doing hours and hours and hours working on the lines. And when I try to do backgrounds of characters, I'll ask 50 questions from the day he was born to where I'm at. And then, every single relationship and character, I will create, if they don't have it in there already, just a world. And I'm like one of these, I'm not going to say perfectionist, but I always feel like I don't want to leave anything out. So I have like deal with needing to learn everything I can about everything. Like when I did Bates Motel, I think I was nonstop obsessed with needing to learn the mental psyche behind each person and why they are the way they are. And, from when they were children all the way to their characters on screen. And I was never ending, constantly writing every day, like I did on The Shield. Like I'd do like a journal, like 20, 30 pages a night. I would have to freebase thoughts and ideas and let things out, or try to create more of a world around like who that character was. And it's just part of my process. I don't, there's no right or wrong in this life. It is what it is. And it's pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly. It does sound cool. It's a great process to have as well. If that's what helps you get through it, that's what helps you get through it. And again, it's just telling people and showing people that it doesn't matter what you can always live your dreams, and you can always find a way to work that's best for you. Especially with dyslexia, I would say, because I mean, I know quite a few people who've got dyslexia here, and they've all got different ways of how they can channel and how they learn and how they can move and do stuff, and it is great. It's fantastic because it's and I do think there's a lot more support now. There are still some places which don't, but I think, like you say, with your daughter, getting to the right place where they can support, and it's a great opportunity.
Yeah, no, with anyone. I mean, just to let them know that it's okay to be different. And nowadays it's so embraced to be different. You know what I mean? So I'm always like, that like there's no such thing as perfect. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And imperfect is beautiful, and flaws in people are beautiful. And that's what makes us human and kind of empathetic towards people. So I always embrace that in people. I go, I would love to see somebody make a mistake and go through this thing in order to see something perfectly said or whatever. To me is boring because you spot on. And so I always say, if you look at the world slightly differently, or you have a different way of giving a line read, or the way you interpret it, it's brilliant because that's your interpretation, and there is no right or wrong in this world. Everyone can have an opinion, but there's no real right or wrong when it comes to like making a choice with how you're going to do a line read, because if it's authentically coming from you, I'm like, that's bliss. I mean, that is, to me, that's beautiful, I think.
Definitely.
I used to watch Forrest Whitaker, and I would watch Forrest Whitaker, and I worked like a year with him when we did The Shield, and he had such an interesting rhythm about the way he would deliver sentences, and he just erased periods and commas, and it was a rhythm and a thought process that was so intriguing to me. And every time we did a scene, every take was different. He would give something completely different energy wise. And it was so fascinating. And I thought, that's brilliant. That is so beyond, it was just so awesome to be in the presence of, and then to react off that. But to watch that, to me, is pretty, I don't know. It's just amazing, yeah.
Excellent. He's one of my favorite actors, Forrest Whitaker, as well. I've got to say, he's just superb.
Right?
You're right. I mean, hearing from them how it was when he was in the different cuts and stuff, it was great. But because when you see him on screen, he just is mesmerizing. He really is.
Yeah.
It just the delivery of everything. It's just so
Pure.
well done. It is exactly.
Like he's in a zone that, like Holly Hunter, I remember I worked with her for 4 years, and she'd be in the same zone. And I do it with Brian Hurst from S.W.A.T. And there's, many people that they get into a zone where when you are going through something, it's almost like you're floating in the ether somewhere, and your souls are connected and having this energy thing back and forth, and the words are just the words, but everything is underneath the words, and it's a connection and a communication that's on a different level. And I always like, that's the thing that really excites me, because you get taken someplace personally, and then at the same time, hopefully the audience gets taken to that place too, and there's a place you breathe in there that's so unbelievable that that's what I always aspire to be, or to act opposite of that kind of thing,
Yeah. Excellent. Brilliant. It's a great aspiration to have this, and I'll say, from watching you as well, you do, because you the scenes with Luca, as I say, especially the ones we've gone through, and now I know how personal it was for you, especially with the dyslexia story, because it was very engaging to see Luca, and you take control of the scenes that you're in as well. So I will say that as well. You're not sycophantic. It's you when you're on screen. I've seen you in previous ones as well. Obviously, Bates, all the Shield. And you are at that level where you do you do control the scene, you do control the room, so all the eyes are on you. It looks brilliant.
It's so funny. You're so funny. I just really, you try to be in the moment as genuine as possible, and you're so kind. You're kind, dude.
Thanks.
You're only as good as who's opposite you. Like on The Shield, all I did was, me and Michael would play off of each other, and Walton, we had this synergy and this kind of trust and thing that, would just, it was pretty amazing, and we never rehearsed, never really marked anything. We just trusted and kind of went, and that's how it was on Sons of Anarchy too. And that's kind of how it was on Bates Motel also, it's just like when you get, I don't know, into a place with people where there's such a trust there. And it's, I don't know, man. But thank you.
No,
Thank you.
Welcome. I can't wait to introduce my son to the Shield. He's on a huge ride there.
I just started for the first time since I actually shot it. I started watching it maybe a month ago, and I'm halfway through season 5 right now, and I'm like, it's pretty interesting to watch now. When I was in it, so I like really. I was just in it, so I had no opinion left or right. We were just going every day, and it was like, going on this magic carpet ride. And every day we would just laugh at each other and going like, do you believe we're getting paid to do this? It's just like, it's so much fun, and we were so close and like best friends. Everybody on that show that, on this little network that nobody knew called FX, that now is like really kind of a trademark network for just pretty insane shows. It's fun to watch right now. And I've been letting my daughter peek on a few scenes here and there, get an idea, because she's heard so much about it, but she's only 11, so I can't really let her. But I do let her see some of the stuff, and she, she's good. She's a really good actress. I mean, she's like, I know she did these little scenes on SWAT, but she's done a few films, and she's really good at being in the moment and being incredibly genuine and open and letting nothing bother her or throw her off. She's just so connected that it reminds me of when I worked with Holly all the time. She's got such a pure soul. Like, Holly's got a soul that will melt you. Yeah. And my daughter does the same thing to me, that when she looks at me, I'm the one that gets nervous because I don't want to suck her. Yeah. I get nervous. Like, I don't want to be bad. She's like so pure, like children that are just pure, like there's nothing as magical. And so I'm like, I just don't want to be bad for her, it's like weird. Get her to the place where she completely understands, and and I, once she's there, it's like, I know I just trust every choice she's going to make. But then I think like, oh my God, have I done enough on my side to make it good enough for her? I'm like, it's nonstop. Like, yeah.
Oh, it must be cool. It must be really good as well to be able to act alongside your daughter. So that's
Yeah, it is cool. And it's cool. I mean, like, she started when I was doing Bates Motel. She decided like, I want to be an actress, and she was only 4.5 at the time. I'm like, what? Like, I thought she was going to play sports like me and just be like a kid and just, and I grew up such a, I don't know, man. I mean, I was just love sports. She didn't like any sports whatsoever. And then, but she loves singing and dancing, which I thought were awesome. And then the day she's like, I want to play Little Red in Into the Woods. And she demanded it. I'm going to play Little Red in Into the Woods. And I'm like, you're 4.5. I'm like, okay. And she goes, no, I want to do it now. I'm like, Angelica, I go, I don't think they have Into the Woods for like a 4.5-year-olds, but she did on me for 6 months, and we got to LA, and she kept on me. And I called my friend Michael Chiklis up, because his daughters went through all that. And he goes, take her to YADA, which is Youth Academy Dramatic Arts. So we went down there, and door was locked, so I start walking away, and this blonde lady walks by and says, can I help you? I go, yeah, my daughter, she had just turned 5 at that time. I go, she wants to be in plays, and so I know you guys do them here. So she goes, oh, you know what? Today's our last day of auditioning, and you can come back at 3:00. I'm like, okay. Well, I go, well, what are you guys doing? They go, Into the Woods. And I'm like, Into the Woods? I go, what? So I come back at 3:00, and they say, well, basically it's first come, first serve, because they pay whatever amount of money to have their kid in there. And they said all the parts were taken in, or, there were too many people for the play. And there was a 16-child waiting list, and she was number 16. So they said, there's no way she can get into, she's not going to be able to be in the play. But if you want her to audition, or if she wants to, she can. So I said, Jelly, do you want to audition? She goes, Yeah. And so she knew the musical because she sings it all the time. You know, so they had her in there, and she was in there for 2 hours with everybody. And we got out, and I said, you know, thank you very much. So I walked down the stairs, started going down the street, and one of the people came running after and stopped me and said, listen, bring your daughter back next week. She's going to be in the play. And I'm like going, what? And I'm like, okay, don't ask any questions. So we came back next week, and they cast it in. She got the part of Little Red.
Wow.
So it started out that what she wanted to kind of manifested. And we did a movie together that just got sold, I think, yesterday. But it was based on Little Red Riding Hood at 26, and then also at the age of 8. And so the girl that wrote and directed this, who starred in it, I had done a movie that had won a couple of awards. And she said, would your daughter play a younger version of me because she looks a lot like me? And I said, I'll ask her. So she did. And it was, again, to play a young Little Red. And it was a very psychological thriller, kind of like a really weird version of good versus evil and mankind, and kind of how they are affected as opposed to animals, how they are kind of untouched and you know, born the way they are, and pure. And so it was kind of a psychological thriller that we did, but she did that, and she was awesome in it. And when we went to the screening, I remember the girl who played the older version said, you know, your daughter steals this movie. And I'm like thinking, you know, okay, you just being, I thought you were just being kind or nice. But when we watched it, I swear to God, man, she jumped off the screen. When you see her in a big, anyways, it's pretty cool to watch. I don't push it, and is what it is, and I always try to tell her, just, you know, go for things that you really love the writing or the character. And I tell her manager the same thing, like, don't push her on just anything and really bad stuff. Just be and choosy. And she's auditioned like for Meryl Streep, you know, her granddaughter, and with Rob Lowe's daughter, and like she's been up for some pretty big movies, and I'm like, that's awesome, you know. So
that really is. That's fantastic. Chip off the old block.
She is, yeah. She's awesome. She's really, she's special.
Nice. That sounds brilliant. So she comes out of 4.5, says exactly what she wants to do, and then 6 months later, she's doing that role. That's just phenomenal.
No. Yeah.
It's a sign. It's a sign.
I know. That's what I started thinking. Yeah.
Definitely fate. Cool. Before I wrap this up, I know there's been a lot of talk as well, because season 3 we haven't seen it, so I'm not going to go into spoilers for me, but Luca has obviously been conspicuously absent. But it has been you are coming back. Luca is coming back.
Yeah. There was So it was set up, and I won't really give anything away, but for a whole bunch of episodes that he came up with this thing, and then something happened at the beginning of the season that then he had to address in the middle of the season. So he disappears for a little bit, and then comes back, and, you know, does the comeback, and so it ends up being really cool.
Brilliant. I mean, before I stop recording, Kenny, is there anything for the people who are watching or listening? Anything final parting comment you'd like to say to them?
Oh, well, I just want to say thank you for supporting, like, S.W.A.T, the series, you know, worldwide. It's been like such a big thing, and we never knew, but it's like, just I'm thankful anybody that tunes in and watches us, and we try to give our best to you, and everybody's full of love on the set, and we love everyone out there. So I want to say thank you for that. And season 3 will not disappoint. It's a great season for everybody, and the characters really go much deeper and more personal in the season. And season 4 is going to be really interesting too, being where everything's at right now. So it's and we should start, I think, shooting at the end of July. So it's coming up, season 4, but season 3 for you. And I just want to say thank you. No, much love to everybody. And thank you, bro.
No, thank you. Thanks all for tuning in to Hellblazer Biz. This has been Chris Gordon talking with Kenny Johnson. Please stay tuned and subscribe to Hellblazer Biz.